Hey folks, I'm Gene Delasala with Audioholics, and today we're going to be doing an unboxing video. We're looking at the Yamaha CX-A5200 11.2-channel Atmos DTS-X AV processor. So I wanted to kind of do an unboxing because I know you guys, people like seeing unboxing. It's kind of like audio porn. So we have to first get this strap off. Probably should have done this before we did the video because that was a bit cumbersome, but hey, you can tell that this is not something that's scripted. It's definitely impromptu. So we are going to be seeing what is inside of this processor. Now, I've reviewed, if you guys pay attention to the channel, I reviewed the older version of this, the CX-A5100, last year, and we also covered the CX-A5000 about 4 or 5 years ago. The original processor from Yamaha did not have immersive audio because it wasn't out back then. So this is their third generation of separates. And what do we get in here? We get a very thin, abbreviated, quick setup guide, because everything is online now. So if you want to get the whole manual, you got to download it from their website, and I'll put a little link there for you guys. And of course, in the review, I'll have links to the full manual. So you get the little kind of guide to setting it up, a quick start guide here. It's the first thing you get. Of course, you get your power cord. I think it's like probably a 14 gauge power cord. 2-prong, by the way. Most Japanese electronics these days are 2-prong. They don't use the earth ground anymore. You get an AM antenna. I don't know how many of you guys are using AM anymore. I don't really have much use for AM radio, so that gets shelved. I have probably 50 of those AM antennas. And then this is a bundle of wire. I think this is their YPOW mic. And unfortunately with Yamaha, they just have not evolved their room correction stuff much. And these little tiny microphones, they're only good for so much. That's why one of the reasons why Yamaha's bass correction for YPOW is pretty ineffective. But they do give you an excellent manual PEQ with the ability to edit it through your computer. And you can look at my older review of the 5100. It's one of the best features that this product offers, and I really love the fact that you can do that. But this is their little kind of YPOW mic. It's tiny. It is what it is. It's great for setting up your distances and your levels. Marginally good for doing your room correction, your EQ, I should say. And it looks like they have a different remote from the 5100. Oh, this is totally different. I'm actually a bit taken. I wasn't expecting that. So the 5100 actually had a door that opened up and there was more buttons on it. It looks like with this remote, it's all one. It's more streamlined. And we'll show you some more pictures of this up close. I'm not sure what to think of it, to be honest with you. I gotta see if it's backlit. I don't know if it's backlit. I hope it's backlit. It's pretty well built. But you know what? We have home automation in the Audioholics Showcase Home. We use Control 4. So we have everything all done in one, all IP controlled. It's kind of nice if you can do that. You get your little FM antenna, but there's really no need, again, for an FM antenna because now you have, net radio, you have tune-in. You can get all of your local channels through tune-in. You don't need to use analog antennas anymore. Noisier too. And you get your little batteries for the remote control. Oh, and now you get, okay guys, this is the real treat. This is what you only get this with Yamaha. Yamaha, because they want you to stay in shape, they give you a boomerang. So it actually serves as a weapon. I'm just kidding. It's not a boomerang. It's meant to do your multi-angle measurements for YPOW when you do your setup, because according to Yamaha, they actually calculate the angles of the speakers when you're doing your room correction. Pretty cool. You put the microphone in each one of these positions and then you do a final one above that. And that's what this little platform does to raise above it. So we'll take a look at that again. We've covered YPOW before. I'm probably not going to go crazy when I do the review. I'm going to be looking at new features that this guy has that the 5100 model didn't. Piece of O-tag, yes. So let's get this bad boy out. I always like unboxing new equipment. It's kind of exciting. Feels like it's Christmas all over again. And I have to tell you something. I was doing some comparisons of all the different processors on the market right now. And for the money, this really is the sweet spot, because this processor is built like no other in its price class. I think the retail on this is about 2,700 bucks. Weighs almost 35 pounds. You just don't get processors built of this kind of stature for this price. I mean, this is actually a struggle for me to hold this up while dealing with the box. I'm going to move the box here, so it's a little bit cumbersome. You know what? I'm just going to throw the box on the floor. I threw it on the ground. Goodbye. So this thing is built really well. I mean, this is as heavy as a flagship receiver. I'm actually really impressed by Yamaha's offering here. And part of it, if you look at what they said, the upgrades that you get in the 5100 over, I'm sorry, the 5200 over the 5100, they claim they redesigned the power supply. So they put a little bit of a improved toroid transformer in it. They did more beefier chassis. I mean, this thing does feel very rigid. They have the 5th foot. You have to have the 5th foot. I mean, that's a Yamaha staple these days now. I guess their idea here is that they balance the center of mass. They put this extra foot here right under the transformer. It cuts down vibration. I don't know. I mean, it's esoteric, but you got to give it to Yamaha. They're delving into the esoterics, but they're also giving you real performance. So I just wanted to basically tell you guys some of the stuff that I've noticed in these preamps. So the Yamaha is $2,700. It's 11 channels. If you want to get more than 11 channels of processing, you're gonna have to spend significantly more money. You're gonna have to step up to like a Marantz AV8805, and you're talking in that price range is about $4,500. So unless you need those extra 2 channels of processing, which most people don't, 7.1.4 is more than adequate to do a really good immersive surround effect in a big size home theater room. So for 11 channels of processing, this is the best built processor that we've seen. I mean, sure, you've got the Anthem AVM60, that's about $3,000. That's a good processor too. The Anthem Arc Room Correction is a step above YPAL from what I've seen in my tests. But this guy is built to a different level than the Anthem. I mean, the Anthem weighs about 20 pounds. This thing is almost double the weight. This thing is built really well. It has 2 subwoofer outputs, independent subwoofer outputs, whereas the Anthem is a paralleled subwoofer output. So what that means is you have the ability to control delay and level independently for each subwoofer output. You can configure those subs as mono, which in most cases you want to do a mono connection for your subs. You want to have all your bass sources summed together, playing the same signal. But for those that are using subwoofers that are in closer proximity to their mains, and then want to set that crossover a little bit higher, when you do that, you can set it for stereo bass. And above 80 hertz, there is some benefit to having stereo bass. It's like a bassousness, if you will. It gives you a sense of directionality or a sense of envelope when you're above 80 hertz. So if you're going to use powered subs and you're going to cross them over higher, there is an advantage to setting it for the stereo output, and this guy will do that. The other thing that this has that some of the other processors on the market don't is it has, not only does it have 8 HDMI inputs, it's got 3 outputs, and they're all HDCP 2.2. So that's a really neat feature. You could set these for another zone, or you could set it for multiple displays. There's 3 zones of audio on this thing, so you can have not only the 11 channels of processing in the main zone, but you can have 2 other zones of audio, and it'll take the digital sources and put it to those zones as well, so you don't have to run additional audio inputs into it, which is a really cool feature. The other thing is it supports legacy components. You've got stuff like if you've got a cable box that has component video, you've got a couple of component video inputs on this, and it scales it up to 4K for HDMI. It even has composite. Believe it or not, I do have one source that's composite. I have a Yamaha CX-A5200 MusicCast. Back in the day, before MusicCast was built into Yamaha receivers, they had a separate server with a hard drive. So I could still use that because it has composite video. A lot of the processors coming out today only support HDMI. And I kind of like having the ability to support legacy devices because I still have some older stuff that is not HDMI that I'd like to integrate into my system. This will allow you to do that. You also have all balanced outputs. You have a balanced input. So if you buy like a really high-end Ultra HD Blu-ray player or a CD player, let's say you have the Oppo UDP or the BDP 205 or the 105s, those models have really good DAC sections, and some people like to use the 2-channel outputs on them. This has a balanced input on it. So that's really cool that they do that. The other upgrade that you get over this model from last year's model is they use the higher caliber DACs from Sabre. It's the 9026 model. I believe the older models were like the 9018 or something like that. So it's definitely an upgrade in that aspect. You get, let's see what else we have here. Yeah, it's a 9026, I just wanted to make sure. The older model, the 5100 had a 9016S. So you're getting the newest DACs from Sabre, and these are some of the best ones on the market. The other thing that this does is it has the Yamaha Ai Processor built into it for surround sound. I have not tested that yet, but according to the literature, it's kind of like I think it's kind of a smart compressor. They claim that they compare a database of movies, so whatever you're listening to, it compares that soundtrack to a database that it has internally stored, and it optimizes your levels, it optimizes your center channel so you can hear the dialogue better. You know, it's kind of the features you were supposed to get with Dolby Atmos and DTS-X that we still haven't seen yet on the Blu-rays in terms of enhancing the center channel effect or enhancing the vocals. I'm going to be taking a look at that because there are cases where you're watching movies at night, or even sometimes you watch shows like on the CW, I've noticed. Some of those shows, they mix the surround effects really loud, but then you don't hear the center voices too well. So it'll be interesting to see if that feature is useful on this. I'm not sure if you have to have YPOW engaged for it to work. A lot of these processes that these companies built in, they have to usually depend upon the EQ being turned on. I will test for that as well. The other thing I want to check is older models of Yamaha. One thing I like about Yamaha, it's kind of a mixed blessing. When they give you a feature, they never take it away. They just keep adding more features. And the one thing I liked about the 5100 is it not only had the latest DSU, or the Dolby Surround Up Mixer, and the DTS-X Up Mixer, but it had the older generations of Up Mixers. And I do not like DTS-X Up Mixer for 2-channel sources. I much prefer the DTS Neural HD, the older version, DTS that would upmix because from 2-channel to multi-channel would give you the option to center spread or not center spread. The newer DTS upmixer doesn't do that, and everything kind of dumps into the center. So I'm wondering if this has the older version supported or if they did away with that. I'd be kind of curious to see what's going on here, how many surround options we have compared to the 5100. I also want to see if you can still cross mix codecs. Because of the Dolby rule for 2019, they're kind of not letting you play with different kind of up mixes depending on the source. You have to stay with native sources. So I don't know if that's changed with this Yamaha product. I know the 5100 allowed that free form of up mixing. So we will check that. I also want to pop the top off of this. I want to show you guys the inside here. So we'll talk about that, and I don't recommend you do this at home. I mean, I am a professional, you know, and if I do break it, it's on me. But if you guys break it, you guys are gonna be kind of pissed off and you're gonna have to send it back and it might not be warranted. So when I take this stuff apart, please don't do that at home. I'm doing it so you can live vicariously through me. Okay, so I got my handy drill and we are going to be disassembling this. One thing I forgot to mention is one of my biggest complaints with the 5100 was the slow HDMI switching. Like you'd go from one source to another and it'd take a couple of seconds for you to acquire a video signal. I'm hoping that Yamaha addressed that with this model because it has the newer HDMI chipsets. It also, according to the literature online, they've updated their OSD. which I didn't have a problem with the old OSD. I really enjoyed that OSD. But, you know, it's a new day and a new processor. Why not make an update to it? Again, guys, please don't do this at home. I've had this thing since I was about 5 years old. I used to take stuff apart, the electronics, and usually they would never go back together, right? But I got pretty good at that over the years. Hopefully I don't break this. So let's see what's in this. I got all the felt tips on here to kind of reduce vibration of the chassis, of the metal. It's a pretty thick piece of steel here. So looking inside, I'm actually surprised by the layout. Usually with a lot of these Japanese mass market products, you get a ton of stuff just packed in on top of each other. But Yamaha has done a lot to isolate with separate boards for all their different circuits. Here's their transformer for the power supply. That's for the audio stuff. Then they have a separate board over here of circuitry here with some heat sinking on it. Again, the same thing over here. And then all their HDMI and processing and stuff is done here on these cards. Then they have a separate power supply here as well. So this is pretty impressive. It's kind of looks like you would see something from an audiophile kind of product. Then they have that H-bar construction for added rigidity. You know, one thing I was thinking too when I was opening this up for you guys, if you don't need a separate power amplifier and you want to have everything inclusive into an 11-channel product, then you could look at the Yamaha CX-A, I'm sorry, not the CX-A, the RX-A 3080, which is based on this design, and it actually has balanced outputs for 2 channels of amplification if you want to add balanced connections to it. So it has the 11-channel pre-outs, but it also has 2 of them that are balanced. So it has 9 internal amplifiers, and you can add a 2-channel amp to the RX-A 3080, and then you can have a very similar setup to this and maybe save yourself a little bit money. So that's something to consider as well. So it looks good. I'm going to put the top back on this. I think we're wrapping this up at this point, and stay tuned because we will be covering the 11-channel matching amplifier, the MXA 5200, in the next video. And give us your comments down below. What do you want us to see covered in the future in terms of AV processors and power amps? We're trying to get more diversity of products on the channel. If you have any questions about the operation of how this works, I'm going to be spending the next couple of months kind of digging through this and comparing it to how the CX-A5100 was. I'm looking forward to testing that AI feature and to see if they did any type of enhancements to the YPOW correction system, and to see if the HDMI switching has been improved, because that was the one thing I found that was bothersome a little bit with the 5100 model. But this really looks like the best processor on the market for the price, because you're getting this great build quality, you're getting all the latest features, you're getting the MusicCast music management system in here, you're getting the latest in HDMI, 4K, HDCP 2.2. There's a lot to like about this product and very little not to. So my friends, if you like this video, thumb it up. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit our bell notification, because we're going to be doing a lot more live streaming. I might surprise you and do a live stream of the bench test or something. I don't know. I get crazy at night sometimes. I turn the camera on and I just start rolling and I start ranting. So you don't want to miss that. It could be fun. And please, guys, join our Patreon channel. You get unique content there. You can ask us questions. You could get direct access to us. You could suggest video topics. We run contests. You know, we'll give you links to that kind of stuff. It's patreon.com/audioholics. And my friends, until next time, keep listening.